Seeing them, the leader thought to himself, this must be the guy, the one who's been a real headache for the area and finished off the boss completely. I need to take him out first. We have to eliminate him. Then I'll sell off the rest of the lot, and that will be the end of it all. The side boy steeled himself and tried to stand his ground against the threat to ensure no harm came to the protagonist, when suddenly a man appeared before him and blasted him away with the power of fire. For a moment, he couldn't quite grasp what had happened to him. He had fallen right down there, and he began to think that there was nothing to be done. Then he slowly rose to his feet and began to speak, saying, "The system wants to use me. That is why it is granting me power." He slowly advanced towards them, and for a brief moment, it seemed as though his power had surged immensely. He was standing there when suddenly a man placed a hand on his shoulder and asked, "So you're back on your feet? Are you really that eager to die?" At that moment, the man whipped out a weapon and slashed across his throat. His head was severed and fell to the ground. Everyone was completely shocked, wondering in an instant what on earth had just happened. A great deal of blood splashed out, yet he didn't feel a moment's nervousness. It was as if his soul had died within him. He had truly become a killing machine. When the system announced that 7 enemies' remains existed, and 1 enemy had been destroyed, and the protagonist was preparing to eliminate them all one by one, he began to reflect on his foolishness in suddenly rushing forward without knowing the enemy's true power. From that moment on, he began attacking, unleashing a barrage of weapons, brutally killing one after another. No one could survive, for his power had surged to such an immense level. Whenever his weapon strikes someone, systems activate one after another, and paralysis-inducing mechanisms continue to operate. Seeing his men die so easily, a question, or rather a suspicion, arose in the leader's mind. This person must have entered under a false identity, despite claiming to be someone very powerful. Unable to hold back any longer, he massively amplified his strength, hardening his body to the extreme. He instantly closed the distance, pinned the opponent's face with his hand, and drove him into the ground headfirst. Then he went on to say that since he kept leveling up constantly, there were no limits to his power. Meanwhile, lying there, the leader began to think about devising a different plan, perhaps offering him some kind of gift. To prevent him from killing me outright, he started speaking from the front, asking if the leader wanted to say something. Then the leader said, "You don't know who I am," and immediately severed his throat right down the middle, an act that was of no consequence to him. Witnessing the entire incident, the boy standing nearby was so overcome that he felt like vomiting. Next day, Washington, USA. A man woke up and sat up in bed, saying, "What a bad dream I've had," though it is not yet known who he was. On the other hand, there was a man in the office of the Korean Hunter Association, A-rank hunter called Woo Jin-chul. A man came and told him about a report stating that many people had died in a dungeon. As he read the report, he remarked that such things happen all the time and asked what was newsworthy about it. However, he was startled when he heard the names of the 2 survivors. And the brother of a powerful figure has died. This is a matter of some concern, as it could turn into a major news story later on. Meanwhile, the protagonist was sitting comfortably in the room eating chicken wings with his sister. He didn't notice any effect while eating the soft drink, nor did he understand why that was the case. Upon realizing this, when he sees the system pointing out that the effect didn't trigger when he actually needed it. Meanwhile, that wealthy young man had invited him over for a chat. He went there without any hesitation. He welcomed him, asking how he was, and inviting him to sit comfortably, offering to treat him to whatever he wished to eat. Then, the young boy broached an important topic, asking him to join his group. Upon hearing that, he immediately said it wasn't possible and started to walk away. He then forcibly held him back and, weeping, pleaded, "Just listen to what I have to say. I will keep my word to you. I won't let you down. First of all, I want to be directly involved in my father's company. To begin with, there is an entrance exam. You need a sharp mind to pass it, and I am confident I will succeed. But beyond that, I need to prove myself and show my father that I have the capability to run the company. I know you are very powerful and prefer to keep your abilities hidden, but if you work with me, you will go far, and no other company can match the pay I'm offering. Hearing about the money took the protagonist by surprise. The realization that he would earn such a massive sum for every mission was staggering. He then said, "All right, I'm willing to go ahead with this."
No one will go inside. You and I will go inside together. We will complete the mission and come out. Everyone will sit outside. He was completely shocked to hear her say that. Once the work there was successfully completed, he moved on to another location to accomplish a different mission. He had the key to get in. Once inside, there would be no problem. The reason being that his power had grown immensely, and he no longer felt any fear. He had entered and found the gatekeeper of Demon Castle standing right there. Taking him down was proving to be a bit difficult, as the gatekeeper was now more powerful than him. He felt no fear upon seeing him. He was about to launch his own offensive. Since he already possessed immense power, a massive confrontation erupted between them.
From that point on, he activated his skill and began launching a solo barrage of attacks against the boss. Initially, he struggled to make any headway, but he gradually pressed forward to attack. The boss remained incredibly powerful, relentlessly countering his efforts, and nothing he tried seemed to work. None of his skills were having any effect. Then he thought, there is no doubt this dungeon is definitely S rank. The boss then activated its skill, which would last for 3 minutes, and it would be ideal if it could land a hit during that time. No matter what happens, the system is trying to make me realize that there is a vast difference between boss and me. Even though the boss possesses far greater power, leaving me unable to take any action, the system is fully attempting to help me.
Suddenly, the boss appeared before him and struck him with great force, causing profuse bleeding. Unable to do anything due to the severe impact, he quickly ran away and hid to avoid further injury. Since his health had dropped below 30%, he activated that specific skill, which reduced the damage taken by 50%. He kept telling himself, I can certainly do it. I have finished everyone off before, and I can finish this one off too. Getting up from there, he first grabbed and held on to 2 teeth, then forcibly yanked them out. Then he stood on top of the boss and started attacking the boss with his own weapon, attacking very hard so that the boss didn't have a chance to survive. Finally, by exerting his full strength, he managed to completely finish off the boss. In the end, he realized just what level he had reached.
Since I need to level up further, if I venture into the Demon Caster right now, I'll surely die. So nothing can be done about that for the moment. We'll see later. But before that, there's something else to attend to. I've gathered quite a bit of loot, so let me check through it. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff here. The next day, a hunter was walking along the road. One of his arms was completely incapacitated, leaving him unable to do much work. As he walked, he suddenly spotted a man to his left. He asked, "Who are you? You look somewhat familiar." But when the man turned to face him, he couldn't comprehend how he had changed so drastically. The old man then said to the protagonist, "I never thought you would come back, given what happened to you there. It was unthinkable."
He smiled inwardly and replied, "Oh, it's nothing like that. I'm fine now. I've fully recovered." They stood there together, laughing heartily, though he thought to himself with regret, "But your situation didn't really get resolved. I feel terrible about that." The two of them were heading out on a new mission when they ran into him on the way. Upon arriving at the mission site, they discovered that others were already there. They were the same persons from that earlier double dungeon mission. They were completely taken aback to see him. The young woman could hardly recognize him given how much he had changed.
Meanwhile, the men couldn't bring themselves to look him in the eye out of shame, as they had abandoned him and left the place. As she gazed at him, weeping, she thought and said, "You have changed so much and grown up. You are completely unrecognizable compared to before." "It's nothing.
I'm feeling much better now." Looking at her with a romantic air, the young man suggested, "Let's go for a walk somewhere." Suddenly, he was startled as people began stepping out of cars.
The men getting out of the vehicle were not good people. They had previously committed serious crimes, including killing hunters, and had served time in prison, though no one understood why they had been brought there. They were accompanied by a leader whose role was to keep them under control and prevent them from acting rashly or engaging in any illicit activities. The group leader was startled when he saw the mission manager, a woman, and asked why they had been summoned. She explained that they were called to eliminate the monsters inside so that the team could carry out their work without hindrance. Although the leader was initially suspicious, the woman insisted that the situation was not right. In fact, it was completely wrong.
Women kept telling him, just as before, that there was no need to go inside, that it was a very dangerous place, but the young man insisted he was going in anyway. Meanwhile, the leader watched them from a distance, wondering if they were heading back to their in-laws' place. Was that the custom? Then they all entered through the gate, and the action began. The thugs easily finished off Monster, a sight that left everyone stunned. Their action sequences weren't particularly impressive. They were brawling like thugs, slashing at random monsters and jabbing at them, acting as if they were about to do something drastic, though they weren't actually that kind of person.
Everyone was getting beaten up, and onlookers were watching the chaos unfold from a distance. Even the leader was just standing quietly far away, simply observing what was happening. Just as the leader was standing there quietly, a monster suddenly attacked from behind. Without a moment's hesitation, he unleashed his fire powers to completely incinerate it, facing no difficulty whatsoever. Seeing the kind of power he wielded, it didn't even seem like he was just an ordinary old man. Someone kept telling him, "You really have the makings of a leader. Do you realize that? The powerful influence you exert over everyone." Seeing that, it really seemed like seeing a high-quality weapon in the young man's possession.
The leader asked, "How did you get a weapon like that? Are you on some kind of mission?" He replied, No, I actually already had this." The girl then asked him if he was secretly undergoing some kind of training. The boy replied that there was nothing of the sort. They then arrived at a point where they had to decide which road to take, as 3 roads lay ahead of them. Just then, the leader of the gang of thugs approached our main leader and suggested we split up, noting that there were 3 different paths to take. The protagonist, however, figured out the correct route. Using his special ability, he identified which room belonged to the boss and told the leader that we should head to the left.
He had been eyeing him with a rather unpleasant look for quite some time, which worried our man. But it didn't matter. He was far more powerful than before. They went their separate ways and resumed their respective tasks. On the other hand, the 2 who were working quietly and asked why you hadn't spoken to him properly were told by the men's side, "How was I supposed to speak to him, looking at the way he was? We left him there to die. Is that really the right thing to do? But it's all right. Once the mission is over, I will go and apologize to him with my head bowed so that we can move forward with the work and keep things good between us." Suddenly, he heard something. He had thought the work over there was already finished, but upon checking, he was startled to find the group up to no good. The villainous leader quickly grabbed them one by one and began killing them up. He was acting covertly, killing people without being seen. When the 2 of them witnessed this, which he hadn't intended, he attempted to kill them as well. After he slit one person's throat, the other stood frozen at a distance, stunned and trying to comprehend what was happening.